Hello, human. This is my weekly astrology forecast for May 21st to the 28th. Talk about a couple interesting dates. Whatever else comes into mind. If you're used to me, you know how I flow. I will say it is damn hot in this room that I'm in right now, and there's no AC. I had to make it green like I was in a jungle, like a humid jungle. And some of the transits this week kind of bring that humidity into play, and I will talk about it. Let's start actually with Sunday the 21st at 12:09 a.m. Pacific time. The sun leaves the Taurus realm and the Taurus birthdays, and we enter in the most fabulous, the most incredible, the best sign of the zodiac. The Gemini birthdays start at 12:09 a.m. Pacific time, and we enter in that realm. Still plenty of Taurus energy around, though. Mercury still being there, Jupiter that is now there, Uranus there, the North Node. So on Sunday that happens. Interestingly enough, 6 hours later at 6:58 a.m., the sun in Gemini at 0 degrees Gemini will make a trine with Pluto in Aquarius. Actually, this is good because we've had a 0 degree week. Fixed signs, if you watch my other videos, you know what's going on right now. We know that Pluto's in the fixed sign of Aquarius at 0 degrees, currently stationing retrograde. Jupiter in Taurus, 0 degrees, 1 degree, fixed sign in Taurus. And while I'm making this video on the Saturday, Mars entered in the sign of Leo at 0 degrees. I'll get to that in a second. So here we are, Gemini entering at 0 degrees, the sun, but it making a harmonious trine relationship with Pluto, which is a nice little insight for the longer Pluto and Aquarius story that is happening in the world and in your chart. There's a little airflow going on there. We also get into later on May 21st on Sunday. What do I have here? I have 10:56 p.m. The sun also is going to make a sextile and vibe with newly ingressed Mars in Leo, where Mars and the air sign of Gemini are going to vibe and light the fires of the mind and of the will. And so remember, when air hits fire, those two flow and they get along, and it starts to elevate. Mars entering the sign of Leo here on Saturday is huge because it already and is currently opposing Pluto in the sky, and there is a power struggle going on. Mars in Leo wants to fight and put its will through the creativity and through the see me sunshine of Leo, where one has their ideas, their will, and creativity move through and want to initiate into the world, and it sometimes can be forceful and combative. And completely opposite of Mars and Leo right now is Pluto and Aquarius. Pluto, the power planet, deals with power struggles, subconscious power struggles, also dealing with deeply rooted structures that it wants to eventually regenerate and change over a long period of time. When Mars and Pluto are opposite of each other, we have a power struggle going on. A lot of times here, in one way, the story of independence here is the deal, because Aquarius seeks independence through form and function, through structure, because it's Saturn ruled. Leo wants to exert and show its creative, true, independent self too. So you have this kind of clash that happens, and how one in Mars in the Leo part of your chart, you want to push out and show, this is who I am, this is what I make, this is what I do, this is how I love, look at me, this is me. And Pluto on the opposite side brings a little bit of its coldness and kind of holds down the power structures. Now, on the world level, we could see things setting off this week that has to do with people pushing their sense of debate and will. They want to put themselves in the world, and an older structure, or Pluto in Aquarius, kind of holding that down and not wanting to let that happen. So when we get into the 22nd, and here is where I'll change up, and I'll put a chart up on the screen. We get into the 22nd here, and this is very important to what I'm talking about, because Mars at this point is at 0 degrees Leo. I'm going to point that here in the chart at 1 degree Leo. But here, earlier in the day, and I'll erase this here, we're also going to look at this Jupiter at 0 or 1 degree Taurus. These two planets are squaring off with each other. They're 90 degrees away from each other, and they are also crashing through the stop sign at each other, where Mars, in a sense, is inflamed by Jupiter. Jupiter, in a sense, brings its inflammation, its expansiveness, its wanting to push boundaries, and clashes with Mars and Leo. And Pluto is in here too. I'll just bring in the pink for Pluto, because here's Pluto right here. So in a sense, these, you can see this. It looks like a triangle here, but it really isn't a triangle. It's called a T-square that's going off, where you have three major points in the chart filled with tension, fixed signs, wanting to move and initiate their way into the story. And Jupiter magnifies this, hitting Pluto, hitting Mars. Now, I'm not saying it's all bad, but there's a lot of drama here. And especially with Mars and Leo looking and to do things through the dramatic, through the sense of life force. Because we got to remember, Leo deals with base core creativity through the fire sign of Leo. It wants to shoot out. It wants to do it through what feels good in life, through pleasures, through creativity, and to be in a sense in that 100%. And Jupiter here magnifies it by 20, like just does it. And then Pluto on a subconscious level is going to put the stalemate on there, or create some struggle. So here we have this set off going on. If you were going to use this transit to your advantage, especially this week, I like the underpinnings of Jupiter in general, because what Jupiter does is goes on a quest. And I'll take this off here because I want you to see my face. Jupiter in the end is always questing, and in the sign of Taurus, it is questing in a sense of what resources mean and what is of worth and value to people through the sign of Taurus. But it also will philosophize about this. It'll also debate about it. It also will seek truth and higher truth and knowledge, dealing with those types of things. So Jupiter is bringing that truth and debate of truth and the philosophizing around, and it's hitting it with the me of Mars and Leo, showing myself creativity. So there's debate and power struggle here. Now, if someone is debating and philosophizing and kind of pushing the boundaries of things, and it seems to get somewhat caustic, can you find a healthy place of a healthy debate, of a healthy pushing of oneself, maybe catching a little bit of a wall and resistance from a Pluto situation, but also have Jupiter magnifying it and wanting to know the sense of worth and value in this kind of narrative? If you can hug that and straddle that in a healthy way, where you're not trying to win over on someone or something, or manipulatively power play somebody, but you're just trying to speak your truth and put your will into the world and show your creativity and independence, then that's a healthy way to using a Jupiter, Mars, and Pluto relationship, where one can move forward but also test themselves and test the world and test the boundaries of a situation. You have to take a higher mindset, a philosophical mindset with this, and that's how Jupiter rolls. And Jupiter will reward. And even in the end, with Pluto, you have to remember, Pluto can be used in a way to your advantage. Well, in a sense, will honor and reward one that stays where one stood in their true power, their true sense of self, Mars and Leo, and they sat there, but they didn't do it for nefarious reasons. They didn't do it to one-up a person, to shove them out of the way, to manipulate them. They did it for the core base reason of just wanting to be healthy in oneself, one's ideas, and how one initiates in the world. That's a way to start off the week. Well, that's what's up here for 24 hours when we go for the weekend of the 20th, 21st, 22nd here on the Monday. And then on Monday, the 22nd, officially, just so you know, at 10:12 p.m., Mars square Jupiter happens. But it pretty much is in play for the next month, really. When we get to the 24th, which is the Wednesday, I just want to point out that the moon is actually going to move into Leo at 7:34 a.m. in the morning. And we have the moon going in at Leo at 0 degrees, 1 degree. And eventually, an hour later, on Wednesday, the moon in Leo is going to be opposite Pluto in Aquarius. So the moon is hitting all the places that Mars has just hit here in the beginning of this video in the last 3 days. And the moon will do that at 12:20. It will actually connect with Mars in Leo and conjunct that. Wednesday is a huge day, actually, for this 0-degree fixed narrative story that's going on. Later on at that night, Venus, I will point this out, Venus in Cancer is going to square Chiron in Aries in a cardinal sign. That's an ongoing story here. I just want to point that out for people who watch my channel, that there's an emotional content involved here with this day with Venus in Cancer, with the raw, sensitive Aries part of your chart where Chiron is, where we deal with a separated wound and how we've been trying to integrate that for the last year and a half. And we've been doing a pretty good job of it this last month. There's a lot that's been in the play to help with this. But here we have that moon in Leo that day and wants to show and express itself. Look at me, look what I have to offer, honor me, see me, confirm me. And it's relating with that Jupiter in Taurus and that Pluto in Aquarius. And then you have sensitive Venus in Cancer squaring off in a caustic way with another fire sign, Aries. This is a volatile, sensitive, expressive day, pretty much. And this whole week is. But that's the major peaking point is Wednesday. When we get to the 26th on the Friday, Venus in Cancer gets a little bit of inventiveness involved in an association and connection with Uranus, the planet that deals with excitement, erraticness, unpredictability. Its function to shake things up. In the sign of Taurus, they create a sextile with each other. Venus at that point is needing that kind of openness and past the sensitivity and the heaviness that it had earlier in the week, and brings in a new story, a new way of relating and doing things when it comes to safety and security and emotional processing that Cancer and Venus in Cancer likes to do. So when we get to the 27th, just want to mention it's the week after the new moon that happened, so it's the first quarter moon, and we get into Sunday where we have the Sun in Gemini is going to square off with Saturn in Pisces. I'm not going to go too much into that. What I will tell you here is, now that I'm feeling the heat in this room and this green background, is pretty much this week of the 0 degrees ingresses, Jupiter going into Taurus this past week, Mars going into Leo. Venus is going to go into Leo at 0 degrees the first week of June, which is coming up quick here. Eventually in the summertime, Mercury is going to go into Leo, and it's going to hit these sensitive 0, 1, 2, 3 degree fixed spots here. And you have to pay attention to this week now, because down the line when these other planets hit those spots, you're going to see the next chapter of the story, and you can put the pieces together. We want expression in this world. We want independence, and we want to break away from the monotony that has been created the last year and a half, 2 years. Coming out of a pandemic, coming out of a current economic situation that's very tough the world over. And it's inherent in structures of community, of family, of government. When something gets stagnant for too long, there's a break, there's a rebellion, there's the need in the sense of to push oneself out. Now, the intention of seeking independence and creatively expressing yourself is the key. Where is it based out of? Where is it coming from? Does it come from a caustic, manipulative place, a selfish, and I mean dark, selfish place? Or does it come from a selfish place of like taking care of oneself, coming from a place of seeking love and balance within one's world, and then having to express that out in the world, and in a sense breaking the monotony and breaking the habitual structures and responses that are in one's own life? Mars in Leo in general wants to do that. It wants to like basically say like, hey, these are my personal desires. These are my personal creative life force that I want to show and initiate into the world and to build upon. Saying all that, when we think about fixed signs in the end, fixed signs are really patient and they take a while to get their stuff done. Cardinal signs initiate. Other signs are mutable, they change over. But fixed signs are stubborn in what they do, but there's a good reason for it. They start something and they build upon. And so this last week, with the tension going on in the next couple weeks, there's this push of needing to initiate and to put oneself out in the Leo part of your chart, at the same time getting challenged from these other fixed places. But the one thing they have in common is consistency and the need to build something very slowly and patiently. So if you were to think about this week, and you're coming from a place of centeredness and heart of taking care of yourself, but still needing to in a healthy way, show yourself out in the world, you could build something here. So when we get to summertime, the end of summer especially, and into fall, you could see some of the fruits of this initiation and this building of a story in the fixed parts of your chart. The fixed parts of your chart: Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. You fix signs. You fix risings. You know I've been on your side here for the last year and a half. A lot's been going on with eclipses and everything. But here you get to take the last 2 years of lessons and you get to initiate it in the world and change your world for the better. How's that for a weekly forecast? It's not really weekly, is it? It's really for the rest of this year in one weird sense of that 0 degrees fixed area. And this week just might seem like any other week, but it's a power week in the end. If you like what I do, hit the subscribe channel, share my video, whatever you want to do. Go to my website. I love doing one-on-one sessions. Hit me up there and book a session. Say a comment down below. And until next time, you know the drill. I'll see you on the next video.